Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Sunday, September 15th, 2019, and today we're going to be taking an early look at the possible 2024 projected electoral map. So I'm not going to be making a prediction. I'm pretty much going to be talking about the electoral allocation for a number of these states and look at states that have lost electoral votes since the 2010 census and what it means for the political parties. So we're taking a look at this electoral map. This one will only impact 2024 and 2028. The census will be taken in 2020, but will not affect the 2020 election. But it will only affect 2 election years, as the next census will occur 10 years later in the year 2030. So pretty much this electoral map is going to be different. Obviously, every time they redraw the boundaries for a number of these representative districts and allocate them to certain states, the numbers definitely do change. And some states definitely have way more of an advantage than others, with an influx of, I guess, new minorities in the South, not the South over here. Actually, in some areas, we'll talk about that. But over here in the Sun Belt, or if we're talking about moving away from Rust Belt states, such as Michigan and Pennsylvania, we'll get to that as well. But overall, there are some pretty interesting results out of the 2024 projected census. So this is not absolute. The numbers could be completely different or very similar, but this is how it's projected as of today, even though the census will take place in a couple years, actually a year or so. But pretty much this is how the experts predict the electoral map to look. Now, if we're applying the 2016 election, I'm pretty sure Hillary Clinton would have gotten 229 electoral votes. Let's go ahead and just run through what the electoral map would look like, because a number of these states, let's see if we can lock the map here, but a number of these states have actually gained in electoral votes in terms of states that voted for President Trump back in 2016. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, so let's go ahead and go through the states that voted for Trump, compare it to the actual results of the election. Yeah, like I said, 309 is what the electoral map would look like for Donald Trump, and then 229 for Hillary Clinton, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, 227 actually, sorry. Oh no, 229. Yeah, I was right. So this is what the electoral map would look like if 2016 was applied to 2024. A couple more electoral votes for Donald Trump. Not too much of a difference. I really like this blue and red on this, I guess, metallic background. Really, really good theme. But 229 electoral votes to the Democrats, 309 for Donald Trump. But looking at some of these states, though some of these states that Donald Trump had lost some electoral votes, for example, states like Ohio, states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, states have increased in states like North Carolina or or Florida or Texas or Arizona or Montana. Montana surprisingly gained 1 electoral vote. I have no idea why. It could be an influx of people going into the state itself. Washington, I'm 99% sure, has gained an electoral vote. I could be wrong about that. That one I usually mix up with Washington. Sometimes I expect it to be. I'm pretty sure that it is currently 11 electoral votes. Again, I could be wrong about that. Let's see. Okay, it has 12 electoral votes, so I guess nothing really changed there. I guess maybe before, back in 2008, when I made 2008 predictions, it was different. Oregon is now at 8 electoral votes, so we have 12, 8, 55, so that's an increase for the Democrats. Colorado now has 10, according to this map. States that we have seen an area, I guess a number of these states actually, the general area has lost electoral votes. Now, what I mean by that is the area itself, a number of these states have seen a decrease in electoral vote count since the 2010 census. Minnesota has lost 1 according to this projected map. Illinois has also lost 1. So let's go ahead and just uncharacterize the entire map. Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, these states have lost electoral votes. New York as well. Rhode Island actually went down from 4 to 3, which is also pretty interesting. That one loses an electoral vote. And that puts the overall, I guess, electoral map, if you take those all of their electoral votes away, just to put in perspective, for whatever reason, 258 to 171. But the Democratic Party, if we're talking about states that gained electoral votes, Colorado gained electoral votes, Oregon gained electoral votes. Go ahead and look around Arizona, Montana, Texas, Florida, North Carolina. Florida is actually growing at a pretty good amount. I'm pretty sure back in 2008 it was 27, then it went up to 29, and now it's at 31. We could possibly see it climb even higher. New York is something that we've seen consistently go down from 31 to 29 down to 27. Again, same number of electoral votes nationwide, so obviously they have to move them around, but it's pretty interesting looking at that. California did not gain any, staying at a solid 55. Oh, Oh, geez, I dropped my microphone. But staying at a solid 55, the same amount of electoral votes it's had for a pretty long time. I think maybe back before 2000 or maybe in 2000 I had 54 or something, but still around the same number. Let's see if there are any other changes. I noticed Alabama has moved down to 8. These have all stayed the same. West Virginia, could have sworn at 5. So West Virginia moved down to 4, which is also a decrease in some areas that supported President Trump. Let's keep looking. I'm pretty sure I've got them all. If I didn't, don't scrutinize me. I'm looking really quickly. But yeah, so that leaves 243 toss-up electoral votes if you take away the states that haven't been affected. So the states that have not been affected by the 2020 census, according to this prediction, are Wisconsin. Actually, I'll just read them off from, I guess, left to right. Washington, California, Alaska, Hawaii, Nevada, Idaho, Utah, New Mexico, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. I probably messed up somewhere in there, but it's okay. So those are the states that did not change in terms of electoral representation. Those states, if you live in any of those ones will likely be the same, and your vote will probably count the exact same as it did back in 2016, 2012. Let's go ahead and take a look at the states that did change. Oregon, Montana, Arizona, Colorado, Texas, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Alabama, North Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, New York, and Rhode Island. Again, a number of Democratic states have lost representation, historically Democratic states as well, such as Pennsylvania, Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota. States that are typically for the Republican Party consistently. I wouldn't say Pennsylvania and Michigan are consistent for the Democrats, but I could say Montana, Arizona. These states have actually gained, these are the states that have gained in favor of the GOP. Montana, Arizona, Texas, Florida, which is arguably back and forth, but just for the sake, North Carolina. West Virginia actually lost an electoral vote, which is pretty interesting. Ohio lost one as well. Again, this general Rust Belt area, this area right around over here, branching up into New York, all the way over to Wisconsin, grouping in Illinois. Just this general area has lost electoral votes. The South has seen a little bit of an increase, a decline in states like Alabama, but an increase in North Carolina and Florida. Over here in the Sun Belt, an increase in Colorado, Arizona, and Texas. Again, pretty interesting. Oregon has actually gained an electoral vote, which favors the Democrats. Same thing in Colorado. Ohio went to Trump back in 2016, so I'll characterize that one there as well. But pretty much if we're talking about, let's say, the 3 Rust Belt states flipping back in 2020, what would an electoral map look like if that was the 2024 map? So Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, these states would no longer be 278 to 260. This would be an electoral victory for the Democrats still, but it would only be 273 to 265. 5 electoral votes closer for the GOP than where they were 4 years prior to this, if this was the same exact map. Let's go ahead and take the 2012 map, for example, add in Ohio, Iowa, and Florida. Still a pretty large gain for the Democrats. They still have lost by 1 electoral vote from 3, I'm pretty sure it was 329 to 2. Actually, it might not have been. It might have been actually 327. It was somewhere around there, but still around the same. Let's go ahead and throw in the map that we saw back in 2008, and then that goes to 340 for, actually, no, not 340, 356 for, I guess at the time, Barack Obama, and 182 for John McCain. But pretty much this electoral map actually favors the Democrats in some areas. Let's talk about like a possible Texas flip. If that happens, the GOP can win literally almost anything else and still lose because of Texas's influence. Even if they lose, even if they win in Maine's 2nd district, they win Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. This electoral map definitely would favor the Democratic Party if they're able to win in typical, I guess, large minority population states. Texas may be out of the ball game for them in 2024, or maybe well within the playing field. But right now, the Democratic Party had won in Texas back in 2016, they would have also won the presidential election. But again, we're seeing an influx of minority voters in a number of these areas. A number of people are moving out of the Rust Belt, which is losing more weight as it has become a little bit more red, has also lost a little bit more weight in terms of electoral, the way that it sways the electoral college every election season. And the Democratic Party is probably going to shift a lot more of its focus on possibly states like Florida, states like North Carolina, and Texas and Arizona, where they see a promising increase in population, which will only benefit them, compared to this Rust Belt area, which is still important to the Democratic Party, but isn't as important as a 41 electoral vote prize as Texas or 31 with Florida. I don't think we actually have any states with 35 or less, 30 to 35 electoral votes. I know Texas has 38, so that's the biggest increase from 38 to 41. Florida is going from 29 to 31. New York is going from 29 to 27. Pennsylvania from 20 to 19. I'm not going to list all the changes because some of them are very minuscule, but these are from the big states: Michigan losing an electoral vote, Ohio losing an electoral vote, North Carolina gaining one. But the biggest increase I'd probably say is here in Texas with a 3 electoral vote gain, Florida with a 2 electoral vote gain, and I don't really see any other +2 states themselves. So that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.